If you have any information pertaining to this case, please use the link on screen or in the description to contact the UK Missing Persons Unit with your information. You may also contact the Hertfordshire Police at 0845 3300 222. On the 18th of February 1975, a lorry driver discovered the body of a young woman in the centre of the southbound carriageway on the A1 in Radwell, Hertfordshire, England. It appeared as though she was the victim of a hit and run. Police were called and she was pronounced dead at the scene. Both the vehicle and the individual responsible for her death have never been identified, though it should be known that an article published by The Sun in 2016 states that it is thought she was struck and killed by a lorry. An article published a day after her death reports that a pair of shoes and a handbag were found some distance away from her body, though more recent reports contradict this, stating that no personal effects were found. It is thought improbable that her body was dumped, meaning that she likely died at the site where her body was found. A post-mortem revealed that she had died around 6:15 a.m., suffering multiple injuries from being hit more than once by several vehicles. She hadn't been walking on the road for very long before being hit due to a lack of dirt on her feet. There were no drugs or alcohol in her system at the time of her death. The woman was of white European descent, and most likely between 17 and 25 years old, standing at about 5 feet 3 inches or 5 feet 4 inches tall, weighing about 120 pounds, with shoulder-length, naturally dark hair that had been dyed blonde, hazel eyes, size 5 feet, an NHS filling in one of her teeth, a wart on the right side of her lower abdomen, a wart or a mole on her upper left thigh, a scar just below the knee on her right leg, and a pierced right ear. She was found wearing a brown 3/4 length sheepskin Afghan overcoat with fur trimming, a blue chiffon and lace scarf which was double knotted around her waist, a brown leather waistcoat lined with khaki wool with 4 buttons, 2 of which were missing, a blue and white Chelsea girl smock-style blouse with a floral design and imitation lace at the neck, size 12 to 13 years, a white cotton blouse with embroidered floral edging and bouffant sleeves, a denim Levi mini dress or skirt which had been converted from a pair of jeans, with a label reading reserved seat on the right hip pocket, black Prisa jeans, a pair of dark blue British Home Stores tights size 4 to 5 years, and a copper ring on the little finger of her left hand, which is thought to be of the sort used in industry to form a seal between 2 lengths of piping. She was not wearing any shoes. Following the news of her death, several witnesses came forward to say that they had spoken to or seen the unidentified woman not long before her death. A lorry driver said that the unidentified woman woke him up at around 5:35 a.m., knocking on his cab door at a lay-by north of the Baldock-Stotfold turn-off, after which he sent her away. Following this, she spoke to a milkman, asking for a yoghurt from the back of his float. She told him her name was Anne and reportedly spoke with a slight foreign accent, pronouncing yoghurt as yoghurt. She got in the milkman's vehicle, agreeing to a lift to Astwick. Anne soon changed her mind, however, saying that she wanted to go to London, so the milkman dropped her off on the A1. Some time later, several motorists claimed to have seen her in the carriageway, having to swerve to avoid hitting her. To my knowledge, these are the last and only confirmed sightings of the woman before her death. Police have theorized that she died trying to escape in a hurry from the vehicle, due to her lack of footwear and personal effects. It's also theorized that the driver who hit and killed her mistook her for a deer or another wild animal, due to her wearing a fluffy Afghan coat. Despite many appeals, the woman has never been identified and no leads seem to pop up. That is until 2010. In 2010, 35 years after her death, her case was reopened and a facial reconstruction was created by forensic artists at the University of Dundee. The reconstruction was circulated in newspapers across the country and came to the attention of a couple in Christchurch, Dorset. The couple contacted police, stating that they believed they recognized the unidentified woman as a French student that had resided with them for 6 months, from 1972 to 1973. The husband, David Liversidge, recalled that he met a woman wearing an Afghan coat who was hitchhiking on the A406 during a thunderstorm. He gave her a ride and struck up a conversation. She mentioned that she had nowhere to stay, and David offered her a room at him and his wife's home. She took him up on this offer. This woman's name was Odile Ludic. She was in her early 20s and was from a town north of Paris. She often spoke of a mother and sister back home in France, but never mentioned her father or other family members. David and his wife Barbara helped Odile find work at a local parking factory on the Henlow trading estate. Odile is known to have been in a relationship with a local man who died prior to 2010. Odile also reportedly had friends in Newquay, Cornwall, who she'd oft hitchhiked to visit. She was a Gary Glitter fan and enjoyed drinking cider. After 6 months of staying with the couple, Odile moved to Cambridge, having enrolled in a language school there, taking up a course studying English. Adding to this theory, the unidentified woman was struck dead mere miles away from the Liversidge's home, indicating that if she was Odile Ludic, she could have been trying to visit the Liversidges when she was killed. Interpol and the French police were contacted and this information was relayed. There were no further updates concerning this until January 2016, when a BBC News article, named England's Unclaimed Dead and the People Trying to Give Them Name, was published. The article included a quote from Mick Flavin, working with the Bedfordshire, Cambridgeshire and Hertfordshire major crime units, who said, quote, "So far the suggested name hasn't really taken us anywhere, but we do still hope to solve this case," unquote. An article published just 4 days later by The Sun further elaborated that no relatives had been located to verify her identity. Police believe that the woman had to have spent a reasonable amount of time in the UK prior to her death, as she had an NHS filling. Almost 45 years have passed since this woman's body was found, and though she has a possible identity in Odile Ludic, the person or persons responsible for her death have not yet been brought to justice. There are currently no rule-outs listed, but if any are added, I shall list them in the description of this video. Again, if you have any knowledge surrounding the circumstances of this woman's death, and or any information pertaining to her identity, you are urged to call the Hertfordshire Police on 0845 3300 222. If you do not wish to make a phone call, you can use the link in the description of this video to contact the UK Missing Persons Unit. Thank you very much for giving the case of the girl in the Afghan coat a moment of your day.